I've had literally 20 mental breakdowns just trying to film this one video. I filmed it originally, hated it. I started editing it and I hated it. Now we're here again and we're here to talk about my stats. That's why you guys came here. You guys were probably wondering, how the heck did this girl get into these schools? You're probably wondering, what does she do to get in? And I'm gonna tell ya. We're gonna get into it. We're not gonna waste any time, nothing. So a few disclaimers: do not compare yourself to me. Don't do it. You're not me. I'm not you. You might have higher stats than me and not get into schools that I got into. You might have lower stats than me and get into schools that I didn't get into. This process is random. This process, at the end of the day, it is what it is. There's no guarantee. Another disclaimer. What was my other disclaimer? Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna be very real. I'm gonna be very transparent. We're gonna be honest with one another. We're besties. We're besties at this point. There's no lying. There's no holding back. I'm gonna let you guys know what the tea is and we're gonna keep it pushing. Thanks. Before we get into the video, I'm gonna try to give you guys a lot of information, a lot of context, because obviously the admissions officers aren't just seeing my grades, they're seeing entire person. So we're gonna talk about my personal background. So obviously, hello, my name is Violet. I am a high school senior from New York City. I'm a first generation American, so that means my parents immigrated from Jamaica, and I'm a first generation American. And I'm a first generation college student, so no one in my family attended college. Got that cleared up? And I am Black. So I want to talk about this really briefly, this whole affirmative action thing, especially that has been used to discredit and invalidate the accomplishments and acceptances of Black and brown students. Please keep that negativity somewhere else. So my high school background, my high school was just a typical public high school. It had like almost 4,000 kids. I would say it was like fairly like challenging depending on what like teacher and class you had. I would also say it was like kind of fairly competitive depending like if you were obviously like in like the AP classes. The academic culture was definitely kind of toxic at times because everyone compares themselves. It's kind of annoying. My school did offer like a good amount of AP classes where you can find variety, as well as student organizations that you can get involved in, and I would say that my school has a pretty decent reputation. Now we're gonna be talking about like my academics, so my stats and stuff like that. So my school uses a 100-point scale. So for my application, the colleges saw 94.89 for my mid-year transcript. So any like RD schools or schools that like required it, or whatever, schools that wanted to see it, schools I got deferred from, etc. They also saw a 95.81. So yeah, I definitely was not a student. I'm gonna let you guys know right now, I definitely did not get straight A's. I did get a few B's here and there, but my junior year up till now, I was able to maintain straight A's, which I think that upward trend is what helped me out. I'm gonna be honest with you, my freshman year, my first semester, I did get 2 C's in geometry and chemistry. Quick story, geometry, she's notoriously known for being very hard, very strict, and a pretty terrible teacher. Honestly, having her my freshman year was very traumatizing, and I thought that I was literally dumb. And her class average was in the 70s. Like, that was pretty typical. Like, if anyone got in the 80s, you thought, wow. And then in chemistry, I was put in the wrong science class for 3 weeks, and I came to the new class, took a test that I did not know what I was doing, got a 30 on it, she counted it, and we kept it pushing. But my second semester, I obviously improved my grades, which I think also showed that I grew to some extent. So in terms of classes, as I said before, like, I'm a first generation American and college student, so transitioning to high school and like navigating that, I kind of did that all on my own. My school, they were useless. So I had to pretty much navigate that on my own in terms of like challenging myself and realizing what I should be doing. So my freshman year, I took 2 honors classes. My sophomore year, I took 2.5 honors classes. I dropped out of one for the second semester because that teacher was literally like toxic, in my opinion. Like, I'm someone who likes to participate in class, and I was very fearful every day to participate or getting called on out of fear of mispronouncing a word. I know, right? And then my junior year, I took 2 AP classes, 1 honors course, and then 1 College Now course. College Now is basically like a program in my city that you can like take a course at a college, but the way it works, like you can only take 1 per semester. So I took philosophy, And the AP classes that I took that year were AP US History and AP Psychology. And then my senior year, I'm currently taking AP Environmental Science, AP Statistics, and then AP Government, both US and Comparative. So I took US last semester, now I'm taking Comparative this semester. Yeah, sorry, I'm like a little bit over the place. And I was taking one honors course, which is just honors English or whatnot. And then this semester, I'm taking another College Now course in Sociology, which happens to be one of my majors, which I actually didn't mention. I applied as a Sociology or public policy major, depending on what the school offered. So that's why I look to study in college. And I also went test optional. My testing story, like, let me tell y'all, it was by the grace of God that this year was test optional, because baby girl, I don't think no. So I took the SAT once, and that was like the school SAT. Junior year was rough. It was rough. There was really no studying. I said, let's do it. I said, let's have fun. Didn't do that well. And then I used the summer to study, but we were in quarantine. Black Lives Matter was happening. My mental health was deteriorating, and I was just burnt out, not in a place to study or take an exam. So the studying did not go well. I bought books, I watched videos, I really tried. Like, I didn't just give up. I was like, okay, you know, test optional isn't an option. I'm still gonna try my best. It didn't work out. My testing centers did get canceled and stuff like that, so it kind of just worked out in the end, and I'm really happy that I went test optional. So I'm being honest, no. Okay, so now we're gonna go quickly over my extracurriculars. I would say that I definitely was pretty involved throughout high school. When I first came into high school, I didn't know I wanted to do anything relating to like law or politics, so I pretty much just did whatever the heck I wanted to do. I just, like, you would see that nothing adds up. Like, nothing adds up. Nothing adds up. Like, I literally did like political internship and a medical internship. It didn't add up, but I had fun. I definitely had fun. Obviously take into consideration, you know, your future in college apps, but have fun, do what you're passionate about, etc. I do not regret the activities I wanted to join. And also too, when I went into high school, I wanted to become a teacher, so I was like, I could pretty much do whatever I wanted. And then my sophomore year, I realized I wanted to become a lawyer, which I don't want to become a lawyer now. That's the end of the story. But by the time my sophomore year rolled around, I kind of knew what I really wanted to do, which I don't want to do anymore. It was kind of too late because I was already heavily involved in my other activities, and I truly was passionate about it, and I did not have any more time to do anything else. And I did try to join Model UN, but the club at my school is very disorganized. No offense. So here's my activities. So the first thing I put in my activity section was Key Club. So I was part of Key Club for all 4 years of high school. I gained over 280 community service hours, and basically I held like 3 positions. So my 10th grade year, my sophomore year, I was on the committee board, which is basically kind of like a smaller board that kind of assists the executive board, as well as work on awards for our yearly leadership training conference. And it's also a really great way to like gain leadership experience and also build up. And then my junior year, well, the way it works is like your term starts in the spring. So basically your term starts in April and then it ends in April. So technically, like my sophomore, junior year, whatever, I was secretary. And then my senior year, I was president, and I'm no longer president because the term ended. And then I was also a part of a competitive step team for 7 years, which I did include in my additional information section because I did it for a while. And we competed regionally as well as nationally, and it was more like a sisterhood, and it was really fun. And I also gained community service hours through that way as well. And this year I am a step master. I had a position my 10th grade and 11th grade year. I think it was the event coordinator, but I just did not put that on my application. And then I was also part of the varsity lacrosse team as well as lacrosse club. Lacrosse club is basically like in the fall, we basically like practice and teach the new people some skills, and then the spring is our actual season. And I was in midfield, and I put that on there as well because midfield, you get the best of both worlds. Like, those are my only 3 like activities like yearly. Like I did 3 main activities, and I was still pretty busy and still pretty stressed. Now I had an internship at my local senator's state senator's office, and I did that last summer. A really great experience. And I also did a legislative project, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Also my junior year as well, from like March to June, I was a part of a campaign called Student of the Year for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I was a part of like a small team, if that makes any sense, like the campaign and like a team, and we raised over $8,000. I also had a internship at Weill Cornell like medical hospital, which is in Manhattan, and essentially it was like a medical simulation. So we watched residents and attendings perform like medical procedures and stuff like that on like a simulation. So like you'll have like an actual dummy who's like, you know, why did I do that? Oh my god. But like making like medical situations very real, and they even had like fake like parents or volunteers come in to act as parents, and we learned how to like run a simulation as well as perform CPR, which I did put on my application. So I was a part of 2 different programs that were more like educational, like enriching, and like Friday internships and stuff like that. So I was a part of Gateway and Learn and Earn. Put that on my application because it does take up time. And then also I was a junior volunteer at this nursing home that my mom actually works at, and that was the summer going to my sophomore year. And then I also put that I was a part of a church like youth groups, that's my faith ministry, stuff like that. So now quickly to awards. I did not win any like international, national awards, baby girl. No, that wasn't me. So the first thing, did I put that first? No, that was not first, but I think the first thing that I put down was I was part of National Honor Society, and then I think for Tulane, Michigan, UPenn, and USC, at that time I had gained an executive position as like a communications whatever, so I put that on there as well. And then I also had Distinguished Key Clubber, which was more like a state award, or like for our district, which is our state, and I got that my junior year. I also put down a Posse semifinalist, which is basically like a program where you can get like a full ride to a college or a full tuition scholarship. Posse, like honestly that probably could have worked out for me, but I didn't want to commit to a school that I didn't like. I also forgot to add that I put assistant principal / principal honor roll on my application as well. For my additional information section, hold up, I think I remember what I put in there. So the first part of my additional information section was an essay that I actually used for U Miami. And that essay talked about some family stuff that I had endured, and kind of how I grew, got involved, and just grew as a person who was resilient and stuff like that. And then after that, I included the awards that I got from STEPS. So my sophomore year, I won the Pioneer Award. And then my freshman year, I won the Veteran of the Year Award. And then both years, I won the Excellence Award, which honestly everyone gets as long as you like complete the entire year. But they don't know that, so kind of a flex. And the last thing, which I talked about before, is for my internship we had to do like a legislative project, which essentially we basically proposed a piece of legislation. So mine was on diversity and inclusion in public schools. So basically I talked about it in some of my essays, but I decided to also include a link to the actual piece of legislation that I proposed, so that they can kind of see it, see what I'm about, see what I was passionate about, see what I wanted to promote, stuff like that. So I think that's pretty much all of my application. Now I'm going to leave you guys with a few tips. Run your own race. Like, it's going to be really easy to compare yourself to other people, compare yourself to your classmates, but literally your journey and your process is your own, and embrace that. Get involved with things that you are truly passionate about. Don't do things that you think you're just going to look good on your college applications, because obviously your passion for that club is going to show through your application, and you know, etc. Don't have any regrets, just go from it. Obviously, as you can see, I've made a few mistakes. My application isn't perfect by any means, and although I can always sit down and wonder, what if I did this instead, what's meant for me is meant for me. What is the will of God is the will of God. If you need help, ask for it. Shoot your shot. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think that I was gonna be good enough, or that school was gonna accept me, or whatever, but like, shoot your shot. You never know, you might make it. So shoot your shot. Like, you literally never know. Like, honestly, like, I'm glad that I applied to the 3 schools that I did, because if I just was scared, I wouldn't have gotten into the ones that I did, and I wouldn't have known, like, for example, like a school like UPenn, I was never gonna apply because I was like, I'm not gonna get in, and I didn't get in. But I'm glad that I know that I didn't get in, instead of wondering like, what if. Yeah, but that is pretty much it. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope you guys were able to learn some, I don't know. If you guys have any questions for me, leave them down below. If you guys have any video ideas, also leave them down below. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Yeah.